Hi, so I thought it would be fun to end the year with another series reading vlog. I just did my first one, reading the entire Raven cycle. I had so much fun making a video, but I thought I'd do another one this time for the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy because I've been meaning to read this one for a while and I was gonna read it anyway this month probably. So, you know, why not make a video of it? Because that's fun, isn't it? So these are really popular YA and new adult fantasy books. Fantasy romance, I don't know. I know the first one was published as YA and then the other two are more new adult leaning, and then the spin-off series, which is like Throne of the Fallen, like that series, is fully adult. But this one is kind of like in that middle spot. So I don't know, I thought this would just be a really fun like quick read. Like last year in December I read the Once Upon a Time trilogy and I just binged my way through that and was obsessed with those books, and I'm kind of assuming the same thing will happen with this, hopefully. I don't know, that's what I saved them for, so hopefully it will. So yeah, if you don't know the series, it consists out of Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerri Maniscalco, Kingdom of the Cursed by Kerri Maniscalco, and Kingdom of the Feared by Kerri Maniscalco. And yeah, I'll give you more of a plot once I get into the updates, so let's just do that. Spoiler alert, I already started book one. I am a quarter of the way through right now. Where is it? Here we go. So that's 90 pages, and I started reading it before bed yesterday, and I generally had to force myself to put this down because I am already so addicted to this. So I fear my predictions are coming true, which, you know, is a good thing because I need a win. I really do. Like, my ratings have been abysmal this year, so if I can help this year on like a 5-star series, that would be nice. But who knows? I think still out, because from what I've heard, like book one is the best in this trilogy. So I don't know, but it's kind of annoying. I got these from the library, and my library always just like cuts up the dust jacket to then, like, you know, put on an naked hardcover, but usually they like tape in the flaps, but the description, they didn't do that on here. So I am gonna try and give you a synopsis on my own because my book doesn't have it. But so far we follow our main character. I already forgot her name. This is my problem with books told in first person. I don't remember names. So in this book we follow Emilia, who she and her twin sister. In like the prologue of the book, we start with like a prologue when she and her twin are 8 years old, and it's like a conversation with their grandmother who warns them basically away from like evil magic and demons and the princes of hell in particular, because they come from a witching family, and the two of them have these amulets that if they touch, allegedly it would open like a portal to let the princes of hell in, and like those amulets also are like those amulets also protect them, so like it's important that they wear them constantly, but like they can't touch, if that makes sense. So first, like the prologue, it's kind of basically their grandma just like warning them about all of this, and then at the end of the prologue, because neither of them, like, they're 8 years old and they don't really believe in this, so they just like touch and like this beam of light comes out of it, and they just like quickly like detach them and like never speak of it again. And then the book actually starts 10 years later, and all throughout town kind of like odd things are happening, and then grandma is seeing it as like signs that like shit's going to go down and like dangerous shit is afoot, and like everyone is like, grandma, you're like, I don't know, overreacting maybe a little bit, but like also like people around town are also kind of like around the world also like seeing weird shit and like starting to believe in weird shit because like weird shit is happening. And then our main character's twin sister winds up murdered, and the grandma is immediately like, oh, this is the demons, they came to get her. And you know, our main character isn't entirely convinced of that, and then she basically goes to like search and kind of see information about who could have killed her sister, because, you know, they're witches aren't well loved in this world, so she thinks it might be a witch hunter, like someone who's just upset at witches. And then she finds her sister's diary that is like locked with like dark magic, and she's like, huh, we never do dark magic, this is weird. And then she kind of like goes to research this, and then accidentally, and then she goes, and turns out her sister summoned a demon to lock the diary, most likely, and she tries to recreate that spell, and accidentally, unknowingly, it's not accidentally, but unknowingly summons one of the princes of hell, Rat, who is now kind of tied to her until this murder of her sister is solved. And yeah, the summoning has just happened, So I don't know how accurate that description is, but I believe that's like the basic setup for this book is gonna be. So yeah, I am already so intrigued. Like I said, these 90 pages, I absolutely flew through them. I did not want to put this book down so I read it, and I still just am itching to get back to it. So I'm not gonna talk too long because I want to read this book, and it's so captivating. I also just really like the atmosphere building because we don't know that much yet about the world and like the magic and just how the witching stuff works. We do know a little bit, but it is a giving immaculate like witch vibes and everything, so therefore I feel like completely pulled into the story, and I'm just very intrigued already with the direction this book is going to go in. And also already the banter between Hovat and Emilia is just top notch. Like it generally I'm in the middle of their first scene together, but really, and like, but I think their banter is just amazing. Okay, my camera just decided to like completely fall down. I apologize. But where was it? Okay, so I'm just like in the middle of their first scene together, so like it's not like I've gotten a lot from them, but it's definitely giving like hate to love great banter. Like typically I'm not like a big hate to love person, but so far like the banter is just like top notch already, and I'm only in their first scene together, so I am also very excited to see how that will go because I know that's the romance. So yeah, I'm gonna read up until the halfway mark now. I'll update you once I'm there and if my thoughts have changed. Hi, so it's the same evening as when I talked to you, but I basically was out all day because we had like a family thing. So I read up until that and I got halfway through my book. I literally, like, my grandparents came to pick us up and I literally closed this book like a minute before they arrived. So that's great timing. But I am just absolutely loving this. Like the plot is starting to like kind of get along a little bit. We have met some of the other princes of hell, and I don't know, I think it's just been very interesting to kind of see things evolving. I've had some like smaller reveals. One that actually for like a small reveal had me kind of gagged, like that was a good one. And I don't know, I'm having so much fun reading this, and we haven't even gotten into the thick of it, if it makes sense. So I'm having a great time. Something I also love is just how self-reliant the main characters, like she can kick ass. Not literally. I've not seen a fight, but she's very resourceful, very smart, and just the way she handles certain situations and how she doesn't immediately rely on this guy, which I feel like is very like common in romantasy. I feel like sometimes where, especially when like the female main character is a bit new to the world and then the male main character is like very like knowledgeable, I feel like oftentimes I just feel like sometimes the female main character kind of ends up depending a lot on the guy to figure shit out in the beginning, but that definitely isn't hasn't been the case. Like she just is like, I don't know if I should trust you 100%, so I'm just gonna figure this shit out myself. I don't know. I just think that's really fun, and now we've gotten to a point where just like the stakes have been up so much that she feels like I just doing this on my own isn't safe enough. Like I don't mind gambling my life, but I do mind gambling like my friends and family's lives, and like we're getting close to crossing that line. So therefore now she's like getting this help a bit more where I am. I don't know, I really like that. I feel like that's a bit different from what I typically just have seen in romantasy stories, and I don't know, I love her as a main character just like in general, and I'm so excited to keep reading. So I'm gonna do that. So it's the next day. I didn't end up reading much more last night because I ended up being more tired than I expected. But I am currently three-thirds of the way through my book, and I don't even want to talk to you because I want to read. I am so obsessed with this. It's gotten so good. Like we do have more of a team up between Wrath and Amelia now, and I think that dynamic is just so much fun. We're also like learning a lot more because of course Wrath can teach us more about like this world because Amelia doesn't know anything about it. So I'm loving learning that way as well. Except it's very obvious that Wrath is also keeping some secrets, and that has also made me very intrigued. The mystery is just like very slowly trotting along, but I don't know, I'm having a good time. I can't say anything else. So it's evening again. Finished Kingdom of the Wicked, and 5 stars. I genuinely love this so much. I don't know, maybe it's just because I haven't had a 5 star in a while. I'm just like feeling it, but I am feeling it, you know? I'm just so excited about this. I had such a blast reading this book. The only question I kind of have is that basically Rat is one of the princes of hell, and the prince of hell are based around the seven deadly sins. I don't know if that's like always a thing or just in this book. I am not well versed in that thing. I'm so sorry. But I know that this trilogy is about Wrath and Emilia. And then the other series, I don't know what it's called, but like the one that starts with Throne of the Fallen, that series, each book follows a different brother and their romance. And just based on the way shit went down in here, I don't know if certain brothers I can see as a romance hero, like at all. Like, some of them are quite shitty. But you know, that's like the only question I have. And I do wonder if I continue on with the series, if maybe like things become more obvious in that sense as well. But like, I think it's interesting that we went that direction. But when it comes to this book in particular, I just really enjoyed it. As you can tell, I was really into it from the start. I just connected with it. I was vibing with it. I think it's a very atmospheric read, and I really enjoyed that. Like, you definitely get like the witchy kind of like demonic kind of like those kind of vibes that are just like superb within it. It's like a bit gothic-esque. I don't know, it works really well in that sense, like vibes wise, atmosphere wise. I just think it's so strongly written. I also just really love Emilia as a main character. I love that she's kind of like driven by the love of for her sister. Like, her grief, I think, is a really strong aspect of this novel, and it's a driving force throughout like this entire book. And I think it just so beautifully done. And then besides that, I also just thought Emilia, I love how much of a go-getter she was. I already talked about that. Like, she genuinely just was on like this path to try and find out what happened to her sister, and she did not let go of that. And like, I really like that aspect of it. Even when other characters kind of like try to misdirect her, she's like, no, this is the thing I'm doing and I'm doing it. Like, I don't care what you're saying. And I don't know, I thought that was like a bit of a breath of fresh air. That doesn't really happen often. The only critique I kind of have is that Emilia does kind of have a one-track mind in that sense, where she's like, oh, this is my suspect, I'm gonna pay attention to this suspect, and I kind of like forget about the other suspects for a little bit, which just means she isn't great at solving mysteries. But you know, that's not our job, so I don't necessarily mind, because I feel like I still feel like that aspect is kind of realistic. I feel like if you have never solved a mystery before, and if you're so caught up in trying to find out who killed your sister and like what's behind that, it is very easy to get like wrapped up in like this one theory and just kind of forget about the rest for a little bit. So you know, it wasn't aggravating. I thought it was actually pretty well done. I also just liked the way the plot went down, how things unfolded. There was no like major reveals or twists, but there were like several like smaller ones that did kind of have me gagged. I don't know, I really like the way things were revealed in this book, where even things that I could technically see coming, I was still just like, just because of the way the scene went down, and you just felt everything so strongly. It was just so well written. And yeah, the only again complaint I kind of have is that I do think the romance is a bit underdeveloped in this one. We're definitely not like full romance heavy yet, but I just feel like I would have liked a little bit of a slower burn than we have currently. But you know, it's also like, again, not like too bothersome. It's just that there was like one scene that kind of happens in this that was like, I wish that didn't happen. I wish it happened like further on into the series, because it kind of felt a little bit out of place in here. But for the rest, I love this. I genuinely love this. I haven't had an experience with a book like this in a while. Like I said, like 5 stars this year have been like few and far between. So whenever I have been a reading experience like I had with this one, I'm so giddy. And yeah, this ended on like a massive cliffhanger. So I'm very glad that book 2 is right here, and I will be diving right into that. Hi, so I am a quarter of the way through Kingdom of the Curse by Kerri Maniscalco, and I thought I'd give you some thoughts because things are definitely interesting. This book is so different from book 1 already, because we are in hell now, and I won't say more because I do want to keep the spoiler free, but we are in hell, and I feel like that setting is just so different than just, you know, the regular world. But I do think it's very interesting because it puts us in a position to learn more about the world, and I'm enjoying that. On top of that, this book also kind of like started with a bit of a fairy tale, like Beauty and the Beast kind of vibe, which has me very intrigued to kind of see the direction that this book is gonna go in. My only complaint so far is that I do feel like Emilia and Wrath kind of like this book takes place directly after book one, and yet it feels like I've skipped some character development, if that makes sense. I feel like something happens to these two people. Like they have developed further as characters in between book one and two, but like no time passed between one and two, and they feel like the same but different, if that makes sense. It's a bit confusing. So yeah, that's my only complaint so far, but honestly I don't mind it too much. But for the rest, I am having a fun time with this, and I'm very excited to keep reading because currently not a whole lot has happened yet. I have a feeling this book is gonna have more of like a courtly setting, which I always love books that are court. So I'm very excited about that. So I'm excited to keep reading, and I'll talk to you once I actually have more to say. Hi, so halfway through the book. Ow, not a whole lot more has happened yet, sadly enough. That's my honestly, I have gotten used to like the characters and the characterizations in this book, and it's honestly not that far off. It just took some getting used to because this definitely is new adult and it reads like a new adult. While the first book read like a YA, and I feel like that's where the difference in character kind of came from, and it just took me a little bit of getting used to. But now I am used to it. I don't have that issue anymore. But now my main complaint for this book is that not a whole lot has happened yet. I can say that I've had this theory since book one, and there's just been like this one big thing that kept it from being true. And even though we have not gotten confirmation that my theory is correct, like at all, there is that one thing that in my brain was like keeping it from like fully forming has disappeared. So I'm onto something, I think. And like I said, this one is very new adult leaning, so it's a lot more romance heavy than book one, I think. And we've had like a semi-sex scene in this, so be aware of that going into the series. Like the first book is like a bit of older YA. That's definitely not for your audiences anymore, but I do think it's intriguing so far. Like for example, I always have like this little page marker to tell you where I need to update you so I don't forget, and I took out that page marker and just kept reading. Like I'm technically updating you like 2 pages too late, but I just was like, wait. Just all of a sudden just like completely crept into me, and I was telling you to talk to you. So that's how sucked into it as I am. And I am very intrigued by like the little things that are being dropped, like how we're developing the underworld. I think it's very interesting, but I don't know, I feel like I want a bit more plot going on because right now we don't really have much. Okay, so I have finished Kingdom of the Curse. I didn't update you last night when I get to the last quarter of this book, just because I felt like I didn't have that much new things to say. So I just went ahead and finished it this morning, and now I'm here for you with the final update on this book. I gave it as 4 stars. I definitely think this book was a bit of a filler book. In between book 1 and book 2, not a whole lot happened in this one. I also feel like it was very like lust focused, and then I mean the emotion, not the character. I just feel like the author wanted to prove that this was a new adult book and not YA anymore, and therefore there was just like constant talks about lust and wanting to have sex and having sex, and just everything just was so filled with lust that it got on my nerves sometimes. I feel like at times it was just like, now's not the moment to turn this into a sex scene, but then we did, and so therefore it kind of like got on my nerves a little bit that way as well. But for the rest, I still really enjoyed this. I feel like even though not a whole lot happens in this book, we do very slowly get different things revealed to us, different pieces of world building. Because we are in hell now, we get to delve more into the magic of this world and like the princes of hell and their purpose and like the legends behind them and everything, their history, Rat's history especially, because of course he's the prince of hell we focus on. So all of that I think is very interesting, and we just got slowly fed those things throughout this book, and I ate it all up. This also has a court setting, which I already talked about, that I loved and I think was really well executed in this book. And then as much as I can complain about like all the lust in this book, it also was very great in like the romance development side. I do still think that Rat and Amelia are just a tiny bit underdeveloped. I just wanted a bit more of like a build up, a slower build up, but I can't deny that they have me squealing every scene that they're in together. They do it for me. And then also in like especially like the last couple of like last 50 pages or so, we do get like some bigger reveals, some more like things that actually will mean some things. And I have to say, it confirmed my theory to be correct, which hi, I'm proud of that. But also that's just like one part of my theory, and I feel like the other part of my theory is also very obvious that that's true, but like our main character is just not figuring it out, and I'm like, girl, the pieces are right there, just put them together, and she's not doing it. So that's also just like, but that's just because I figured it out sooner. It's not necessarily because she's stupid, although a little, but you mean, you know, she's not aware that she's in a book as opposed to follow tropes, you know, conventions. I do. Anyway, so yeah, like the last like 50 or so pages, quite a lot happened, but like still in a way that makes sense. Not that it was all of a sudden wished at like those 50 pages, but it just, you know, got to the climax of the book. And that was really well done as well, and now I am just really hyped to delve into Kingdom of the Feared, which sadly enough is the last book in this trilogy. Like I already don't want it to end. I'm gonna look up if my library has the spin-off books, because I already feel like this is not gonna end well for me. Like this book might end well, but I'm just gonna fall into a dark hole when this is done. But I can't wait to just like binge my way through it. Okay, so I'm a quarter of the way through this book. Yes, I'm live life loving. I really am. This so far has already just like been much more bullet filled than book 2, which I'm loving. The romance is also going splendidly, and now where I just left off, we got the confirmation on my second part of the theory is true. That is, yes. Okay, hi. It's actually 2 days later. I finished my book, but I've been busy, so I kind of forgot that I still needed to update you. So I'm so sorry for that. But I did finish Kingdom of the Feared, which is the final book in this trilogy, and I didn't talk to you about like halfway through or like 3/4 of the way through, just because I find it hard to talk about my thoughts on this book without using any spoilers for the series. Therefore, I decided to wait until the book was finished, and I can say now that I give this 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I think it was, like I said in the first video, was immediately more action packed than the previous book. But I feel like the problem I had with this book, which kept it from being a 5 like book 1, is that it just, I feel like too much happened in this book, and like a lot of big reveals happened that were very important, were very gag worthy, but also like came with a lot of like info dumping, because it kind of reframed the way we saw things, so it needed like a proper explanation and everything. And I just feel like towards like the beginning of this book there was one big reveal that comes with a lot of explanation. I feel like that could have been done in book 2, and then have the rest of this book be the focus of this book. So like the ramification of that reveal be just this book, just to keep book 2 from feeling too much like a filler, and also to just keep this book from being very overwhelming to read, because there was just so much thrown at you. And like it was done well, but I just got exhausted reading this at some points, because there was just so much information to read through. But like I said, it is in a way that is very interesting, takes the story in a very interesting direction, so I can't complain. My theories ended up being correct as well, so in that sense I also can't complain. And I overall like still had a really fun time reading this book. Like when I talk about this book or the second book, like my complaints with it, also keep in mind like all of the compliments I gave book 1 still count. Like I love the romance in this. Like honestly, I also appreciate it because there was just so much lore happening in this one. We couldn't like do as much sex and like lust in this one, and therefore we kind of got more kind of like romantic, sentimental scenes between Rat and Emilia, and I just I ate them up so much. Like I love them so much together, honestly. I also in this book I feel like we delve more into kind of like the personalities of some of the other princes of hell. Not all 7 of them, but we did get like a bit more in-depth look at some of them. And even though I still stand by the fact that for some of them I don't see how I could possibly root for them as their own romantic hero in the spin-off series, I do have to say that for most of them I do understand it. Like honestly, I'm already dying for like 2 of the romances of other princes, because I think at least from what's like things that happen in this book, their romances will go a certain direction. I don't know for sure if I'm right, because I have not looked into the synopses of those books, but I just, if that's what I think they are, like I am so ready for that. So yeah, that being said, even though for some of them, one in particular, I really just I don't get how we're going to go in that direction, because I just think they're not the most best person. But we'll see. I'm very open. Anyway, more open than at the end of book one to see how all of them are gonna get their own romantic stories, because we just got more of these characters as well, so I feel more invested in them as well, and I'm just excited to see things turn around. And yeah, I don't know, I still had a great time with this book. I don't really know what I said all so I hope it makes sense. Anyway, that means we have officially arrived at the end of this series, and as much as I actually do kind of love binging a series like this, I do feel sad that it is over already. Like, and also I got these from the library and I have to go to the library tomorrow, so I already have to part ways with them, which I don't want to do. Anyway, my thoughts on this series as a whole is that I loved it. I don't think it's gonna be for everyone, because I do feel like when it comes to the romantasy genre, this doesn't do much new. I feel like book one felt very refreshing, but two and three a little bit more like generic romantasy. So I totally like understand the people saying that the series kind of falls off. But despite being a 5 and 2 4s, I do stand by the fact that I love this series as a whole. I just really got attached to these characters, invested in this romance. I thought the world was so incredibly rich and interesting, and I love learning about it, every twist and turn. So again, when going into the spin-off series, I hope that's an element to it, because I would love to learn more about this world than we already got to know in these books. I also love the cast of side characters. I think they're a whole lot of fun. And I don't know, the writing was just so compelling and addictive, and I flew through all three of these books because I just was so into it. And then the plot also just like had me on the edge of my seat and like genuinely gagged despite seeing some twists coming. Like, I was just baffled at times. So I had a blast, and I genuinely don't think I have loved a series this much in a while. Like, just that general obsessiveness and addictive like nature to it, I haven't had while reading a book series in a while, which just feels so refreshing, especially in this year in which I have barely read any 5 stars. And yes, only one of these was a 5 stars for me, but I have barely read any 5 stars this year. So having this love and like this obsession with these books, just it felt so nice. It reminded me of why I love reading again. So yes, adored this. But like I said, definitely like look I don't know, definitely like see my opinions on the series or not if this is something that you're interested in, because like I said, I'm not saying there's anything like groundbreaking, and I don't understand anyone would dislike it. I do kind of get it, especially 2 and 3. If you don't like book 1, I don't know if I can trust you, but 2 and 3 I can get on the bandwagon. But I genuinely thought this was great, so there you go. That's my recommendation. Do I need to rank these? Maybe. Technically I do, because that's the setup of these videos. So a modern place is going to be Kingdom of the Cursed, just because I'd rather have an info dump than I'd rather have an info dump than a book in which nothing happens. So Kingdom of the Feared is second, and then first, of course, is Kingdom of the Wicked, book 1. I love this so much, but I loved all 3 of these books genuinely. And yeah, that's all I have for you today. Let me know in the comments what you thought of these books, if you've read them. Feel free to go into spoilery detail. I'd love to discuss spoilers with you all. Just leave a little spoiler warning at the top of your comments, so people who are watching this video and have not read this series yet know not to read your comments. And that disclaimer was always too long for my liking, but I don't know how else to say it. I'll see you next time. Bye.